I've been reading this book, The Splendid and the Vile, about Churchill in World War II, and so many similarities between what happened in London and the Blitz and here, but some key differences. And one of the differences is in London.
Before we continue, we invite you to follow our channel, the only American show reporting live from Ukraine every day.
Russia has removed a senior commander from his post for making false claims about the progress of the war in Ukraine. Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine. Joe, what's behind this move, do you think? Do we know?
I've heard a bit about this, and there's so many different levels, false claims circulating. We've even going back to looking, when Putin made the decision to launch his full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. It seems that many of his top generals were telling him, "Oh, this is going to be easy." That's what they said, that according to their intelligence, Ukraine would fall easily. And also, by the way, the foreign intelligence agencies, even the CIA and others, thought that Ukraine would fall. So there's a long history of sort of inaccurate intelligence here. But it's also been thought for a while that sort of the few people who are relatively close to Putin, they don't want to give him bad news. And so they always try to report good news. And so it seems that, one of these guys has been exposed. But again, it's always, it's so difficult to know exactly what's going on in Russia. There's no free press. I mean, one of the most reliable sources of the mood in Russia is indeed from these military blogs, because they'll just sort of speak freely on their Telegram channels. And another topic that's circulating there the past days is that bomb, the missile that Russia sent to Dnipro city, sort of a modified version of an intercontinental ballistic missile. The Russians are they're saying that this totally destroyed the city of Dnipro, which is not true. Actually, compared to other attacks, it was, much less damage was caused. It was more about theatrics of sending that long-range missile that did, go up into the Earth's stratosphere in order to land down on Ukraine. So they, in some ways they sort of live in their own reality there. And then, I think the big topic, and one of the big topics here in Ukraine today is exactly on this, the story of people living in their own reality. Joe Rogan, who's the most powerful and most popular podcast host in the world, he had a bit of a rant a few days ago over the weekend about President Zelensky. And it was all because of the missile that the Russians sent to that city of Dnipro. Again, a missile that didn't cause a whole lot of damage, but because it was a version of an intercontinental ballistic missile, a missile that, if you saw the videos, goes up into the stratosphere. And because these missiles can carry nuclear weapons, that has a lot of people worried and afraid. And so Joe Rogan had a rant, a sort of expletive-filled rant against Zelensky, saying, "You're going to get us into World War III." And without really looking at exactly, what Russia did, that it wasn't as big of a deal as it seemed, and also ignoring, all the different red lines that Putin has announced for the past several years. Ukraine has repeatedly crossed them, and Russia has not had, great responses to these red lines. And for example, we had the news that when the Biden administration gave approval for Ukraine to hit targets on Russian soil just a few weeks ago, because of that, the Ukrainians have used the British Storm Shadow missiles. They hit a base with North Korean and Russian soldiers. And according to the best intel, it seems that Ukrainians took out 500 Russian and North Korean soldiers. So that's huge. And it really puts a dent, in Russia's abilities. And Russia responds to that with increased rhetoric, saying, if you keep doing this, we're going to have, some kind of nuclear war. And so in response to Joe Rogan sort of swearing at Zelensky, one of Ukraine's heroes, Vladimir Klitschko, the boxer, former world heavyweight champ, his brother is mayor of Kyiv. He made a video in response to Rogan. And I have to say that I've been talking with the Klitschkos and their team for a couple months now, saying, you guys need to try to get on Joe Rogan's show, because you can speak English well. Rogan so often talks about Ukraine, but he never talks to people here. And as I've been trying personally, meeting with Vitali Klitschko and just saying, hey, come on, guys, try to get on his show. And so yesterday, Vladimir Klitschko, former world heavyweight champ, issued an angry but calm challenge and very polite to Joe Rogan, and we can listen to a bit of it here.
Putin's Russia wants to destroy Ukraine quietly. They want America to stay quiet, not great, but quiet. A great America is not an America that abandons countries that defend freedom with their lives. In short, you see, I have quite a few points of difference. If you invite me on your podcast, we could discuss them like free men.
That's pretty interesting. He's very articulate and speaks English very, very well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, when he was, in the heyday of his boxing career, he was on Conan O'Brien and all those top shows. So I'm confident he could handle 3 hours on Rogan. And so far, his tweet on X, his challenge to Rogan, has more than I think more than 8 million views now in just about 12 hours. So there's a lot of momentum to say, hey, come on, Joe, if you really are not afraid of listening to the truth, you don't have to agree, but at least listen to real voices from Ukraine. So we'll see how that develops. And a couple of things we should note: there was matters of intrigue that are happening. There was today a DHL, the German logistics company, cargo plane crashed in the capital of Lithuania as it was landing at the airport. And there's a lot of concern about what happened there. For the past several months, there have been increased warnings, including from German intelligence, that warning of bombs that could be planted on cargo planes. And so there's a lot of concern about what could be happening there. And then very strangely, this never happens here, but there was yesterday we had reports that a foreign fighter was killed in Kyiv, here in the capital in Ukraine, due to a bomb in a plastic bag. There was a camera set up to watch. The bomb was put next to the guy's car, and a camera was set up to record it and watch it, so that we don't know the details of it. But that doesn't happen here. Sort of the only threat is at the front lines or in the sky from the drones and missiles, and so that's a bit of a concern. And I've been reading this book, The Splendid and the Vile, about Churchill in World War II, and so many similarities between what happened in London and the Blitz and here, but some key differences. And one of the differences is in London in World War II, when there were blackouts, it was dangerous. People would loot stores, you could get mugged on the streets. That never happens here. That's a huge difference. And so having something like that happen in Kyiv, a bomb go off, is very concerning. So a lot of different things swirling around today, and a lot of Ukrainians hoping that Joe Rogan will take up Klitschko on the offer to have a real proper debate.
Interesting. And some scary stuff going on there in Ukraine. And I'll give you a heads up, Joseph. Tomorrow I want to get to some listener comments, people taking issue with some of the things you've said. And we hear a lot of nice things about these conversations, but occasionally you tick somebody off. And I want you to be ready for that tomorrow, okay?
I'll be ready. I'll talk to Klitschko and get some tips.
Good idea. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?